Deputy Speaker. On the Prime Minister's election night speech, he spoke about that the government would look out for all Australians and would ensure that no one is left behind, because we would always look after the disadvantaged and the vulnerable, in the Prime Minister's words. Well, how about looking after the disadvantaged and vulnerable in my electorate? The 2024-25 grant funding round of the Information Linkages and Capacity Building Individual Capacity Program was quietly announced recently, but missing from this was funding for disability peer support organisations in my electorate. The South West Autism Network, Down Syndrome WA and Developmental Disability WA were notified that they would not be receiving funding, or their funding would not be continuing. They cannot continue to provide their services to people and families in the South West. Now, these organisations share a long history of providing for our community, with over 80 years of combined service between them. And we cannot underestimate just how invaluable their support is, not only for the most vulnerable in our communities and their families, but their loved ones, carers and support networks as well. They were given just 5 weeks' notice that their funding wouldn't be continued beyond the 30th of June. They provide compassionate and caring support, direction and advocacy to hundreds of people in need each week. And without these, service times and the wait times will blow out, and all regional people will have to go to the city for support. Advocacy WA, the only organisation with ongoing funding, currently has waiting times of over 6 weeks, and without local providers these times will compound and many will suffer. It's appalling that regional Australians continue to bear the consequences for the government's city-based priorities, especially in the health space. Under this government, the South West has seen changes to the priority allocation of GPs, making it harder and more expensive to see doctors and allied health professionals, a loss of birthing services throughout the South West at St John of God's and at the Margaret River Hospital, and Centrelink processing times that continue to soar, and record housing shortages and ongoing labour shortages in our region. So, Prime Minister, if you genuinely care about those most vulnerable and that no one will be left behind, the South West Autism Network's ethos is to fill the support gaps in our community. Can you please let them do it? It's done an incredible job with only $460,000 a year in funding. They need to be able to continue this work. And I've pleaded with the government and the minister to keep funding these invaluable services. Our most vulnerable need them.